Hello everyone, my name is YQ. Welcome back to my channel. I'm a Chinese girl who studied abroad in the US for 6 years, and now I'm located here in New York and working as a growth marketer in a health tech company. In today's video, I want to recommend 5 English podcasts that I listen to every day. They're about life, social psychology, entrepreneurship, social science, etc. I remember when I was preparing TOEFL test, listening to podcasts is one of my secret ways to improve my English speaking and comprehension. So if you wanted to take your English to the next level, or you simply want to fill the void by listening to some fascinating conversations, this video is for you. If you are in the US, you can listen to these podcasts through Apple Podcasts or Spotify. However, if you are in China, you have to find smart ways to access them. So if you know any great tools to use, or you know how to access these podcasts, please kindly share with others by comment below. Without further ado, let's get started. The first podcast I want to recommend today is called On the Floor. It's one of my recent favorites. It's hosted by a Korean girl named Esther. It is casual, soothing, and cheerful. In this podcast, Esther invites her friends to talk about everything in life, such as being an adult, living in a city alone, finding a roommate, deal with relationships, etc. I resonate so much with this podcast. It's like being in a very close, intimate girl group where we talk about everything we're going through together. Whether it is bad or good, things we learn help us grow. Some topics include being too clingy in a romantic relationship, or how to deal with toxic friendship, how to pick a perfect gift when it comes to festivals or special occasions. Well, this is exactly how I felt at that moment. These are the normal reactions I had when I listened to this podcast. It makes me feel so good to have such an intimate group who can support each other through adulthood. So if you are a girl in your 20s, I highly recommend this podcast. You can listen to this podcast when you're tired from work, you just want to wind down, or before going to bed. I promise it will lighten up your mood. The next podcast I want to recommend is called How I Built This. This podcast is all about entrepreneurship. In this podcast, the host interviewed various world-famous entrepreneurs. It is so fascinating to uncover the unique journey behind each brand. One of my recent favorite episode is about Chipotle, which is one of my favorite restaurants back in college. So the founder of Chipotle, his name is Steven Els. In this podcast, the host interviewed Steven on why he started this business, and it turns out Steven quit his job as a chef in a restaurant and started Chipotle just as a side business to support his bigger dream to start a fine dining restaurant. He never thought Chipotle would be scaled to a multi-million business today. And in another episode, it talks about Bobbi Brown, the makeup brand. The founder, she was a makeup artist in New York. She had no money, no connection in the industry. She started by selling lipsticks to models, and from there she gradually built such a huge corporate from scratch and sold to Estee Lauder for more than $80 million. This podcast just brings me so many interesting facts and stories. After listening to these founders' journey, I would never look at the brands the way I looked at before. It was just very interesting. So the next podcast I want to recommend is After Hours. This is about business and culture. It is hosted by 3 Harvard Business School professors. They catch up after work and share insightful look into current events. It is eye-opening, thought-provoking, yet accessible. The 3 hosts, they have such great group dynamic. They make the conversations so fun to listen to. You would never feel bored. I got so hooked up by just listening to smart and brilliant people providing 360-degree analysis on recent happenings. This is a podcast that I never missed a new episode. Highly recommend. Alright, the next one I want to recommend is called The Founder's Journal. It is about business and entrepreneurship. This podcast is hosted by Alex Lieberman, the founder of English newsletter Morning Brew. This podcast provides practical advice and tips, frameworks for business builders or anyone who wants to grow their career. It is very informative. Each episode lasts around 5 to 10 minutes. Snackable content, which I love. Some things I learned are frameworks to set up a SMART goal, tips on how to host successful business meetings, lessons learned from the new Amazon CEO Andy Jassy. Because it's so short, it's perfect for people who have busy schedule. You can listen to it while brushing your teeth, in a commute, or going for a walk. The last podcast I want to recommend is called Hidden Brain. If you are into psychology and social science, this podcast is for you. This series is a collection of 20 to 40 minutes in depth of unconscious patterns that drive human behavior, shape our choices, and direct our relationships. My recent episode is about identity-based consumer behavior. It talks about how brands, they create a whole worldview for the products that they sell, then get us to make the products a part of who we are. It's very scientific, dense podcast. It uncovers the unconscious mind behind each human behavior. Alright, these are 5 podcasts I want to share with you today. These are all my recent favorites and I truly gained and learned a lot from them. So I highly recommend you to take a look. If you like this video, don't forget to subscribe, like, give me a thumbs up, and then comment below sharing your recent favorite podcast. So I hope you have a good day. See you in the next one. Bye bye.